Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today we're playing the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. So this one is another match from the final between Spaniard and RomulanDawg. Spaniard is playing as a vampire count, RomulanDawg as the Beastmen. So, straight away, Skeleton Spearman in the back, protecting the Mortis engine, frontline a Grave Guard, Spearman on either flank. And here, this is great. He's got two Vargulfs, and that is a really interesting pick. You never see Vargulfs these days. And there's also a really cool pick on the other side, which we'll get to. So also some Felbats for tying up ranged units, which is really useful. Also good for chasing off, you know, skirmishes and things, so pretty handy. In the front line, just a load of zombies, 4 units, just to, you know, absorb some fire, just be a nuisance. And, yeah, that's about it, right? Oh, no, of course, the Red Duke. So we have the Red Duke on a dragon, so that's brilliant. So, yeah, interesting build. I like it. And then the Beastmen, tiny army, but very cool. So he's got some spearmen, nice and cheap, Ungor spearmen. He probably just had some money left over, to be honest, but it will help, you know, with some anti-large. He's got 2 units of Bestigors, which are absolute troopers. He's got these Gore herds on either side, and he's got quite a squishy general. He's got Malagor, the Dark Omen, but his bodyguard is terrifying. He's got the Gorbel, and he has 2 giants. So these guys obviously don't have to worry about ranged at all. So they can just stand, you know, within the Bestigors and just kill Graveguard all day. And honestly, if the Red Duke gets caught out by, you know, these 4 units, he is going to melt. It's going to be very scary. So I love the pick of giants, you know, very interesting. So this is very different to the match between Pippington and Scribble from the other day. Very different units, but that's not the whole army. No. He also has these 2 units of Centaurs with throwing axes, and he has another 2 hidden over here. So a lot of Centaurs still, because of course you're always going to have Centaurs. So let's speed things up and see how it goes. So straight away you're going to see, similar to the Pippington Scribble match, the Centaurs are going to be able to do a lot of damage to the zombies in melee. So there will be a few sort of, you know, charges to try and get rid of the zombies so the throwing axes can be, you know, thrown at more valuable targets. So you'll see these guys will take a lot of damage on the charge. So it's pretty handy. So, yeah, if we hold space, you can see better. So look at that, you know, almost broken just from a single unit charging them. And the Centaurs took almost no damage. And the same thing is happening over here. It's just so good to get rid of this clutter early, because there's no way that these guys can chase, you know. So I think it should be good. So, yep. These guys, they're just staying put. They want to get, you know, most value out of their Centaurs, you know, get rid of as much of the just chaff as possible before they do anything. But also, you can see the Felbats are coming in to try and pin them down, and they will actually do okay. They will catch the odd one, you know, here. So you can see 1 unit has been caught by the 2 Felbats, and they are starting to take a little bit of damage. It's not a huge amount, but it is helping. These guys aren't, you know, attacking the zombies, and they're not throwing their axes at, you know, any of the valuable units back here. So it's pretty useful. But you can see, nice and quick, the Vargulf is charging in. So if the Vargulf can get a good hit here, it's going to do massive damage. They've got very good weapon strength at 230, so they will pack a punch. And here, oh, is this one still caught out? Really, he needs these guys to double back and attack this unit again. Unless it's just the flag is on, yeah, okay, the flag is just on a single guy. I hate it when that happens. It should follow the bulk of the unit, right? But anyway, look at that, pretty good damage. Say just a couple units of Felbats, and these are going to be valuable players in this battle, so it's pretty interesting. So also you can see the other Centaurs have come in just to help, you know, get rid of more of this chaff. So that again is pretty handy. So they shouldn't last too long. But he does want to get the Centaurs out before, you know, anyone can react here. And you don't really want them in sustained combat, even against zombies, you know. Just charging is enough. They're crumbling now, so you don't have to worry too much about them. And you can see the bats are coming to try and chase. And here, once again, trying to get rid of the zombies, so another charge in here to try and finish these guys off. So once all the chaff has gone, that's going to be really useful. And Centaurs are actually perfect at doing this, because they don't tire out. So they're not going to lose any vigour, so they can actually be used just attacking, you know, utter rubbish. Because, yeah, they're not going to lose any effectiveness because of it, you know. If it was, you know, more expensive units, they'd charge in, you know, get rid of the zombies, sure, but then they'd be tired, and then they wouldn't perform as well against more valuable targets. Tentacles don't have to worry about that, so it's a great strategy just getting rid of them, you know. But you can see, yeah, basically got the front line in, and all that's lost is some zombies, and some Felbats are taking some damage. But without the ranged units, he doesn't need the Felbats to swoop in behind. Though I'm not sure he knows yet. He might have an idea, seeing as how the, you know, all this is very expensive, that he probably doesn't have any ranged, but he doesn't know for certain. So we'll see. So over here you can see zombies getting wrapped up. Graveguard are coming in to help damage the Centaurs, but the Gorbel is charged in here as well to try and help wrap up these guys. So the Vargulf just kicks him a long way, That's the thing with Gorbals, they do get thrown around a lot. That hopefully will change in the next patch, because we've got the patch notes already, and it does say that single unit models, which, you know, we thought maybe Grimgore, but actually the Gorbal will probably see the benefit of having better mass. So we should see that in, oh god, in what, 5 days? So, pretty cool. So, yep, still getting kicked around. So, the Gorbal, very good idea to bully him early. You know, the Giants are a lot slower, so they're not going to be able to chase, you know, heroes as much. So, that's definitely worthwhile. But the Giants are coming in, because they can power through any unit here. So, and actually, this Gorbal, despite the fact it's had LC cast on it, it isn't taking much damage. And now the Giant comes in with a swing, does a lot of damage here. So, it's pretty rough. But here we do have the Mortar's Engine, you know, leeching the health off all these guys, keeping all the infantry healed up, and actually healing these single units too. So that's definitely useful. And while these guys are down here, while the Lord was down there, the Giants were all focused on him, not the Mortar's Engine. But that has changed. So now the Mortar's Engine is going to be taking some pretty good damage. So that's pretty rough. But you can see the Bestigors are having a pretty tough time of things. They're taking quite a lot of damage. A really nice breath attack comes in there and pretty much finishes them off. So that is great. So that allows the Grave Guard to really just win that engagement, which is great. Also, Centaurs start to take a bit of damage around here. Where are the other Centaurs at? Oh, so they're stood behind. They're coming in to attack, as you'd expect. But, yeah, things are keeping at good health here. Unfortunately, on both sides, so no one's really winning this. But the infantry is beating the, you know, the vampire infantry does seem to have won out against the tiny Beastmen line here. So now, absolute mob, but in terms of just the big monsters, we're not really seeing a lot of damage on anyone. So Morga took some damage there, you know, the Gorbal's taken some damage, but the Vargolfs and the Red Duke are all basically fine. They've barely taken a scratch. So here, now this is interesting, this is something that someone commented on in the previous video of this matchup, the Pippington and Scribble matchup, is Devolve would be really useful for dealing with a sort of a Death Star build. And actually it is having a very good effect. You know, lowering that leadership is helping things to, you know, get to the point where they're crumbling, and it does damage against a lot of units like this. So everything blobbed up, that has really helped. So Malagor, I think, is a good pick here, you know, especially if you got backup, you know, from these massive, terrifying monsters. It's very useful. So, still, just more fighting between all these big monsters. It's very scary indeed. So, and over in the back, you can see that there are some Centaurs with throwing axes getting a bit wrapped up. They're trying to support the Bestigor herd here. And seeing as how it's mainly zombies and Graveguard back here, they should fare okay. You know, the Beastmen might actually be able to deal with some of this infantry. But, very cleverly, you know, all the infantry could have been blobbed up here. But, Spaniard was very clever just to send more people off to screen. Because while these guys are causing a nuisance, they're wrapping up both the Bestigors and the Centaurs, which means that they're not throwing their axes at these, you know, very, very sort of formidable targets. But you can see here now, though, obviously there is a lot of healing going on, so it's quite hard to tell how much damage these guys have actually taken, but it looks like the Beastmen are a lot worse off here. They're not doing great. And here, Centaurs come in for a rear charge. Hopefully, it should, you know, begin to crumble some of these units from these rear charges. But this Giant is in a terrible way. Over here you can see the Mortar's Engine sort of ran out to one side to try and help, you know, sort of give that aura to units that are on their way back. Their leadership's pretty low, you know, while they're running back in, so the Mortar's Engine might be enough to tip it. But, you know, at the very least, it's sapping their health, and by the time they get in, they're going to get terrified pretty quickly by, you know, all these big monsters. Here, though, not great for the Red Duke. He has hit his healing cap, so he's not going to get any more healing now, and he's looking quite low on health. And with the Gorbal here and the Centaurs surrounding him, that's going to cause a lot of problems. So he's taking quite a lot of damage, and it looks like this Giant might be trying to get to him. But he is being bullied by these two Vargolfs. So the Vargolfs are attacking the units closest to the Red Duke, which keeps Red Duke, you know, as safe as possible, really, in this circumstance. But you can see Centaurs coming around here. If they turned and attacked him, he might have been able to path back through and get on the Red Duke again. But, you know, you do want to get rid of these spearmen. They're very close to, you know, very close to wavering, so it's pretty handy. So, yeah, this is rough, you know. These two Giants, they're taking a lot of damage, but they would have done so much damage here. You know, let's have a look at that kills. 90 and 60. It's a lot of kills, and doing a lot of damage. Every time they hit something like the Red Duke, it does a ton of damage. But they are getting worn down, you know. They're getting worn down a lot. So it's pretty rough. Here, the Gorbal comes in. Amazing hit on the Red Duke, followed up by a Giant. He's nearly dead. But the Gorbal did bounce off him like he was made out of rubber and flew about, God, how far is that? You know, about 100 feet. So that's pretty funny. So, you know, he's coming in trying to help, but now the Giants are both down, and yeah, it's just the Gore Bull left. And at the moment, the Red Duke manages to get in the air. There's nothing else tying him down. Obviously, all these throwing axes are going to be very scary for the Duke, but he's still got these 2 Vargulfs running around. He's got the Mortis engine still able to heal. So, you know, with the 2 Vargulfs hitting something like the Gore Bull, the Mortis engine can just run around in circles and avoid him, you know? So you can't really single it out. So that's been a bit of a shame with this one. You know, with the Beastmen. They've got a lot of stomping power, but there's some very maneuverable units, at least, you know, surprisingly maneuverable units, and a lot of mass in the Vampire Count army, so he wasn't able to capitalise on it as well. So, so that's it. That's GG. So, very well played, Spaniard. That was a really cool build, though. I really loved this. So, just having the Vargulfs, I think works really well against Beastmen, because they do have a lot of armor piercing, but that mass, they can just get in the way of things very well. So they're fantastic bodyguard units, and they can be exactly where you want them to be, because they're nice and quick. So every time you see, you know, a vital enemy unit on its own, charge the Vargulfs in. If they're being very protective of everything, you can just attack Bestigors and they'll do a ton of damage. And, you know, help get the Mortis engine, keep him safe, because anything goes to the Mortis engine, you just charge him with your Vargulfs and move your Mortis engine around. So there's a lot of things you can do here that just really helps against, you know, sort of Beastmen, sort of like Gore Bulls, you know, charging through everything, take out the vital units. It's tough to do that, you know, when you've got these extra units sort of just knocking you around. So I really like it. I thought that was great, but also I love this build for Vampire Count as well. I think the Devolve really helped. It avoids being able to do the whole Death Star thing as successfully. And, you know, at that point, you know, he also had a load of good range on his Centaurs. They're great for dealing with the chaff, getting really good rear charge, leadership debuffs, and yeah, the throwing axes can do really good damage against, you know, the Red Duke or, well, any, you know, anything flying. They can harass, and yeah, they're really useful. They have enough range that if there is a Death Star, they can just throw axes at, say, a Mortis engine, or corpse carts or whatever. And, you know, they're so quick, they'll never tire out, so you can just run them around the whole time. So, really useful. And yeah, the Giants, they will destroy any Vampire Count infantry. There's just nothing that can hold up against them. You've got to have the big monsters. And unfortunately, Spaniard he brought the big monsters, you know. So, yeah, very tough. Very tough to counter, you know. There's a lot of, yeah, a lot of toing and froing here with the builds, you know, that's countering one thing, but that stops that countering by countering it, and, you know, it's great. And you don't get that a lot in quick battles. Usually if you see things like this, it's because people are just sort of, you know, giving something a go. But you can tell there's obvious sort of counter-picking and, you know, mind games going on, which I think is great. So, absolutely loved it. So, once again, well done, Spaniard. Really good win. And, yeah, RomulanDawg, I love your build, but yeah, shame you didn't get this one. But there are 3 more rounds to this final, so anything could happen at this point. So, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.